Those who are in the chapel to come on in, please. All right, are you full? What did you have? You went to the food truck? All right, it was good. What'd you get? Oh, you got the fish and the oysters. Okay. Anybody try the gullah punch? All right. What flavor? Strawberry? Okay. Very good, very good. So you're enjoying your time? Did you go, anyone receive divine light yet? Okay, how is that? Excellent. What about the Ubuntu Center? Who went to the Ubuntu Center? They're giving facials. Isn't that exciting? All right. I intend to get a facial as well. I'm just stalling so the others can come on in. Come on quickly. Come on quickly. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Give them a hand as they come in. Come on. Give them a hand. Come on in. Give them a big hand. They're coming in. Give them a big hand. If you can hear my voice, come on in. Find your way to the sanctuary. And as they come in, just give them a big hand. Just keep giving them a big hand. Let's prepare for them. This is for you, Valerie. Come on in. Give a big hand to Asa. They're coming. Give them a big hand. They're coming on in. Go. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. All right, so friends, this is an exciting session that we have in store, and we pray that you're being blessed by everything that's being shared. We've been intentional about the speakers that we brought, that we have to participating in this year's conference, and just excited to have this precious soul, a cherished soul, who's with us today. She is a native of Hawaii and a kumu of Lomi Lomi. Has anyone ever had Lomi Lomi massage? Oh, so you have a lot to learn and a lot to experience. And she's also a DOE licensed instructor of Hawaiian healing arts. She has appeared in several films on Hawaiian healing arts and has been featured in magazines and books on Lomi Lomi massage. She is a co-founder of Hawaii Healing Arts College in Hawaii, of course, and she has traveled extensively representing Hawaii and speaking on cultural richness and oneness. And she is, in the Hawaiian Polynesian culture, there are amakuas, and these are, we call them also ancestors, those who are in the spirit realm who assist and guide us. And we have living amakuas. And she has been one of my living amakuas. And when I served Hawaii, served Unity Church of Hawaii, and that's the correct Hawaii, correct? This was a godsend. Kumu was that just beautiful soul that helped keep things in order, and it was just a tremendous blessing to me. So it's my good pleasure to introduce our beloved Kumu Brenda Ignacio Gore. Will you give her a big hillside, come on, a big hillside blessing and a big hillside welcome. And Kumu, if I may, courtesy of Judy Sweet. And we actually have two more. This is in your honor. And I haven't worn a lei in so long. Would you mind?
Oh, this is awesome.
We have one more. Who would you like to gift it to?
Yeah.
Reverend Gertrude, will you come up, please? Come on. And Kumu will explain to you the significance of the lei and how it's bestowed. So extend your hands to Kumu as we bestow our hillside blessing, as we say, Kumu. It's Kumu. It's not Reverend Kumu. It's not Miss Kumu. Kumu is the title. Brenda is her name. Kumu, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we thank God for you. Give her a big hand. And I believe she's about to bless us.
somebody so excited to be at Hillside. I watch you on Sundays, and I join with you on Sundays, and I send our beloved Bishop Jack all of our love. In Hawaii, I renamed him Hau'oli Keaka. That means Happy Jack. A hikimai no oko, hikipu no me ke aloha. Now that you have come, love has come with you. I have a dear friend who spoke these words, and I asked him if I could share them because they express my thoughts and my heart. I am Hawaii. Actually, it's okay to say Hawaii and Hawaii. Locals say Hawaii. Hawaii. That's why there are two I's. I'm from a very special place. It's called Hawaii, and its meaning guides and directs our behavior. The word ha, the breath, the life, the essence, the space in the atmosphere, which is the ha. It's the breath that you take when you first come into the world, the first breath. It's the last breath that you give back when you leave. And in between the first breath and the last breath, you never own it. It is the vai, the water that we drink, the water that's within each of us. It's the spiritual water that guides us and keeps us connected to one another. It's the E, the spiritual force, the creative energy that we call God, the source, nature. It allows us to recognize one another before we've even been introduced or shared our names. The ha, the vai, and the e. It's a mission statement that guides us and says, care for the air, the water, and most of all, the spirit. That says, watch what you eat, what you serve others, and how you treat your friends and your places. Our kuleana, which is responsibility, in this wonderful place I call Hawaii, is to do just that. To care for the air, the water, and the spirit for myself, for others, for the present, as well as the future, as we honor both our ancestors and the past. This is Hawaii. Some of you have practiced, I noticed, with great happiness. You practice what we use and have culturally used all of our lives, which is the ha, the breath. And we do our breaths knowing the breath, alo, the word aloha, in the presence of divine breath. And whenever we are out of sorts or nervous about something, we inhale the breath of life. We hold it, and then we exhale through the mouth 3 times. In any situation, if you stop and inhale and hold and exhale and hold and inhale and hold 3 times, you will notice a big change. Yes. You heard it. You know who it came from. We heard it. And so I start. Aloha mai kako. Welcome. Welcome to my mind and my heart. It's an honor to have been invited to join you. Truly an honor. I've been so excited for weeks. Really. Because some years ago I had the pleasure and honor to travel to Beaufort to visit our precious bishop and to meet the people of the United Church there in Beaufort. And I always wanted a big family, and I only had one brother. And now I have all of Beaufort. I love them, and I'm told at least Mother Cleo is coming. I have her on my videos on my phone singing, God is working it out. I watch it all the time. I have her singing, oh, happy day, you know, and I just love the experience there in Beaufort. What it made me know, which I always imagined, that we are all connected, that we are one. And I'm going out of order, but I'll share it maybe twice. When I teach, I stress this truth. We are one. And prayer is our way of life. And if one desires to be a student of mine and they're not willing to pray, they don't become a student of mine. Yeah, you know. So there's a chant. Now, I've had some neck surgery and stuff, so I no longer chant. So I'll just say the words. It's called Ike Kahi, Ike Kahi. One consciousness connects us all. E ho'okahi, kahi mana'o. Let us bring our conscious thoughts together as one. E ho'okahi, pu'uvai. Let us bring together our hearts. Let us connect in our hearts. E ho'okahi, malamapono. Let us gain a deeper discernment of truth, to know the truth. And our precious bishop always said this in Hawaii: tell the truth and stay in church. You know, in life we meet impact people, and sometimes one little statement like that just stays with us. You know, it's like a verbal hug. So, let's deep. E ho'okahi, aloha mau. Let us join together and stay connected in enduring, unconditional love. That's our one consciousness connects us all. As a kekioka'aina, child of Hawaii, I've grown up in two worlds. I was born a short 4 months after Pearl Harbor was attacked by Japan in 1942. Life wasn't easy as a child. And I know that I'm not talking to people who don't understand that. However, I was blessed to know the beauty of nature, the spirit of our people, and the love, most of all, of my beloved grandmother, who taught me to love nature, to revere nature, to pray, to have faith. And I recall lying in her beautiful garden of flowers, looking up at the sky and the clouds, and just feeling at one with the magnificence of Hawaii. I always felt spiritual and full of joy as a child until life happened. At first, I'd run in every morning, "Good morning, Mom, I love you." She'd go, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. I'm not quite ready," you know? Very happy child. But then there were many hardships to do with the war, excuse me. Anyway, Hawaii at the time I was born was a territory of the United States. My childhood was full of wisdom, of nature and the spirit in all things, and the love of all people. Our elders in Hawaii are very revered, and they're the ones that pass on all the gems, and they share them very, very generously. The outside world was full of information and technology, which came later, especially after Hawaii became a state in 1959. My journey to blend the two was remarkable, at times challenging and very rewarding. Hawaii was annexed because of its location in the middle of the Pacific Ocean as a strategic place to have power as a country in case of war. Our people weren't quite ready. Nonetheless, it is what it is. In 1820, word got out that there were these beautiful islands with wonderful people, but they were thought to be heathens, which they weren't. They were metaphysicians. But the missionaries from New England felt that Hawaii needed to have their brand of Christianity. This that I'm wearing is the exact style of what they declared women of spirit and religion should wear, but it was never bright yellow and gold, always white. This mu'u. This was the style introduced by the missionaries to keep us looking pure and proper. Did you know that? Now you know that. Okay. Where's my Ululani? May I have my kumu? There she is. Don't you make my eyes rain. Our life wasn't always smooth. There were many hardships and the changes. And my mother was ready to transition at age 54. Fortunately for me, I was a student of Nanaviri. And she hanai'd me, which means she spiritually adopted me and became my hanai mother, spiritual mother, like Bishop Dr. Barbara was to Bishop Jack. Thank goodness, thank God. Together, we did many, many things, excuse me, and she taught me many, many things. And she also gave me permission. What do I need? Oh, okay. Gave me permission to teach what she taught me. She asked me to share. This is very important in the Hawaiian protocol. You get loyal and devoted to your kumu. They share, and then they give you permission to share. There's no other way. We ask permission even to pick a flower. It's called respect. Hawaiian beliefs on Hawaiian values, philosophy, and protocols can help heal a family, a community, a state, a nation, and a planet. Hawaiian spirituality and its healing is not a fad. It can't be learned from videos or books. We as Native teachers will readily and generously share this knowledge in the spirit of our ancestors and our elders. One of my kumu, Pilahi Paki, was a leader in the Hawaiian community. Thank you so much. Excuse me just one moment. She was a leader in the Hawaiian community. In 1970, she predicted, in the next millennium, the world will turn to Hawaii in its search for world healing and peace because Hawaii has a key. We in Hawaii believe Eia Kamanava. Now is the time to combine the best of both worlds. The essence of Hawaiian spirituality and awareness is pure metaphysics. It is a deep and genuine reverence for life. Hawaiians knew that they were more than physical beings. Prayers and chants acknowledged the divinity in all things and in all people. They wanted to touch their Creator, which they, through some deep inner spirituality, were able to discover the unity in all of life. They saw the Creator in rocks, In the ocean, the birds, the land, the plants, the mountains, and of course the people. The word lokahi acknowledges the three major forces of God: humans and nature. Next slide, please. There we are. Lokahi triangle. By the way, Bishop Jack is wearing the Lokahi triangle that I gave him on his 50th birthday with one of my beloved students. We went together and got, and it has in its center a beautiful Tahitian pearl. Here's what it stands for. In order to have spiritual power, you have to have reverence for God, man, and nature. If you revere all three, you get what is known as mana. That's another little happy jump I do on Sundays when I hear your bishop use the word. I pay attention, you know. They wanted to touch their Creator, which they thought through some deep, they were able to discover the unity in all of life. They saw the Creator in everything. A deeper understanding is not something we can simply read about. It was passed on by the kupuna, or elders, through practice and an inner knowing. My Nana taught me to really listen until I could hear the trees talk. Is Reverend Caroline in the room? No? There you are. I just want to acknowledge that she's the first person that I've actually had words with that said she hears too. And I was telling my beautiful earth angel, Linda, who has been my guardian angel, in Hawaii we call goosebumps chicken skin. But I said to Linda, I can't use that term here because everybody eats it. We call it goosebumps. And I bet nobody has eaten goosebumps. So I'll say goosebumps, but we acknowledge. She said, listen to the ocean, the rocks. It happens telepathically. You hear them in your inner self. I did not understand this truth at first, but my subconscious held it until I could and would. Mind, knowledge, to work with the elements. And every Sunday after church at Unity, Nana and I would go to Michelle's at the Colony Surf, and this is where she shared a lot of her wisdom. And she chose to have her ashes scattered in the same area when she transitioned. So I feel her there. But you know, I was her ride everywhere, and she would always talk to the sky. If the clouds were gray, she would humbly and lovingly say, could you hold that? Could you not rain on what we're going to do? And then you can rain later. I love you. Thank you. Well, she did many things that kind of blew my mind at the time. And then after her transition years later, I am licensed to do weddings in Hawaii. And I had a wedding to perform in front of this same restaurant. And it had rained, are you ready? 40 days in a row. The bride and groom were quite nervous because they wanted to get married out in the sand. And they wanted to stand in a heart of rose petals. And the bride wanted to dance the Hawaiian wedding song to her husband. So they're scrambling, saying, should we order a canopy? Should we do this? Should we do that? And I heard that. I said nothing, because Nana always did it silently without fanfare. I quietly snuck out to the beach, and I did what she taught me to do. I could not see the horizon. Everything was dark gray. And I said, Nana, this is my first time. Can you help me? The clouds parted. A huge circle of blue sky appeared. No rain. The bride and groom came out in shock, entered the circle. She danced. You know, to say I was moved is an understatement. And so I've had other experiences, but one that I'd like to share outside of Hawaii just happened last September. One of I teach Hawaiian healing and Lomi Lomi massage internationally, or have, and I still do. I taught in North Carolina, in Cherokee land, a couple of times. And I had a wonderful student who wanted to retake my class, which she did. And then she invited me to their beautiful ranch up in Unicoi, Tennessee, near the North Carolina border, I believe. Outdoors, beautiful. We set up canopies looking at the Appalachian Mountains. It was just heavenly. However, this was September. They had forecasts of rain and thunderstorms. I'm not in Hawaii. Nana, are you willing to travel? But again, the host would say to me, Kumu, the husband of the hostess, Kumu, the forecast is 95% thunderstorms. I say, oh, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, but you know, you have to be ready if there's thunderstorms. I said, I know, but I don't want to hear it. So I walked out by the canopies and silently prayed. It never rained. It never rained. That's Hawaiian spirituality. So at dinner, the host, the national announcer of weather, the husband, said to me, yeah, I just don't get it. It rained on that side, and it rained on that side. Pa'akawaha. I shut my mouth. Thank you. It happened every day that I was there. The forecast was the same, and the outcome was the same. Now, the last day, I didn't get the forecast because I was out of there so I wouldn't have to hear it. The last day at noon, the wife, the hostess, comes running down. Kumu, kumu, the rain is coming. Everybody, put your tables away in your cars. Get everything. I said, oh, heavens. I went up to the house. I moved all her living room furniture to make room, put up one table in the middle, and then we would continue as one table. So I did that. Everybody's running, putting away stuff. I stayed in and calmly prepared the area. They all came in. I had the class calling one at a time to demonstrate the next move, and we went through the whole 1 hour routine. Then we had a break. So I thought, I wonder where the hostess is. So I walked outside where we had been, and they're sitting happily drinking iced tea under a tree with no rain. What happened? I reacted to the loud running and ended the outside class instead of trusting. And it's okay, but it's a very delightful observation, isn't it? Delightful observation. Okay, so we talked about asking permission. That's part of our protocol. When we ask permission of nature and give thanks for its bounty, we're acknowledging spirit in nature, in all things, and practicing our reverence for life, aren't we? The world seems to be noisy at this time. This morning I got up with the thought, instead of meet the press, we should have a telecast that said, meet Hillside. Yeah. We're doing the work and the will of God, and we're trusting, we're staying free of fear. We're holding the light in dark times. I just love it. I'm so, so grateful. So anyway, going into the silence is better than turning on the news. Silence gives spirituality power. It allows us to hear God and the source of our being in the stillness, in our own knowing center. Nana held silent retreats, which I loved, and taught the direct relationship between silence and metaphysics. One must go into the silence to practice meditation, correct? I knew I just manifested experts in some things. One must go with silence to practice meditation, to be silent and observe. So we have 4 ways to learn when I teach. This is also up on the board. Pa'a kawaha. Ho'olohe kapepeao. Listen with your ears. Nana ikemaka. Observe with your eyes. That's how you learn. Have you ever been in a class where their hands are going up constantly asking questions? It's very disruptive. So in Hawaiian teaching, the way I learned it, we practice these. And then as an instructor, you say any questions, and then there are questions. It makes sense, doesn't it? This is how we say one learns. Come to realize that when we sustain a reverence for life, life responds to us in the very same way. Hawaiians are very skilled as vessels of healing. And it comes from that reverence for life. We believe that the body cannot respond to any kind of treatment without first being healed spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. You know, I'm a survivor of that dreaded word cancer. And we believe in the thought that emotionally or as a child, if you didn't heal your inner child, which most of us needed to do, that you had, they would ask, what's eating you? What's eating you? Old pain. It sets a fertile ground for cancer. But cancer is not a death sentence. It's just an indicator to trust some more, pray some more. Isn't that correct, my precious? I told Reverend Gertrude, I am with you. Believe me. One way is to start the process with ho'oponopono. Now, ho'oponopono is a process of putting things right with the whole person. Now, interesting enough, when we do lomi lomi massage, first of all, we have to do ho'oponopono with ourselves. Why would you want to go get a massage from someone who walked in angry, who walked in with baggage, who walked in thinking about tonight's football game, right? So we have to cleanse and clear, and ho'oponopono is the method that we use. It's generally conducted, or culturally anyway, and historically conducted by elders. Why? Because they have the heart and the wisdom to listen and to have a means of understanding and to be trusted. So ho'oponopono means to put right, to make things right. Pono is righteous, to make things right. So ho is to bring forth right. And so pono means make right more right. It's restitution and forgiveness. The most important aspect is getting right with God. First and foremost, getting right with God. Everyone forgives. No one is above forgiveness. No matter who they are or how spiritual they think they are. When asking for forgiveness, if one definitely has to mean it. Nana recommended meditating twice a day in the morning with gratitude, and before retiring, releasing and forgiving any perceived missteps. Now we'll get to the word aloha, in the presence of divine breath. Auntie Pilahipaki wrote, Before you have aloha, you must do aloha. Before you can be aloha, you must choose aloha. Before you can choose aloha, you must have the power to choose. Before you have the power to choose, you must be the source of power. Before being the source of power, you have to be conscious of the source. And I remind my students that we that practice Hawaiian healing, we are not healers. We are a source of healing. We're a source of healing. We're a vessel for healing. So I tell them, because you know, young people are not like my generation. I'm a healer. Yeah. You know, I say, you're not all that. So, before manifesting any idea, declare the creation of a content of aloha. Now, she wrote a chant. Pilahi Pakienti Pilahi wrote a chant. You know, being 81, one of the gifts, even though times have changed and it's kind of hard because the music of the 50s and 60s made sense and it's so beautiful. And now, you know, you have stuff I don't get, but that's okay. That's okay. The beauty is I met so many elders who had the wisdom of the ancestors. And my quest is to share my wisdom to anyone who is open and wants it in doing God's will. I don't want recognition. I want to have anyone know their worth. I want to help my beloved brothers and sisters heal their inner child. You know, my beloved husband, who's wonderful, I'm sorry he couldn't be here this trip. He and I went to Russia. Why? I wouldn't choose to go there, would you? But one Mother's Day, week of Mother's Day at Unity Church on Oahu, Nana said to me, is it 2:15 or 2:30 my time? Okay, good. I'm going to make it. Let's write letters. Let's write letters to the women of Russia at Unity after the service. Why, Nana? Where's my Nana? Why, Nana? She said, because politics and the leaders of the country do not speak for the mothers. The mothers are like you and like me. They love their children. They want them to be happy. They care for something other than politics. Oh, okay, so we wrote letters, and somebody knew how to get them to women in Russia. She planted a seed. Some years later, I get a call from a Russian woman who organizes classes in Russia. She's in Waikiki. She wants a Ho'oponopono session, and I go to Waikiki, and she goes back to Russia and invites me to come. But she'd have to go through government stuff. She has to formally, and then I have to have a place to stay that's documented. They have to know what I'm going to do. And my husband, who had already been to serve God in other countries, said, let's do it. So we went Moscow, 2 years later, Siberia, which happened to be my favorite place. Why? Because they were rejects. They were intellectuals. They were poets. They were, beautiful people. I had about 40 students in Moscow, and then later about another 40 in Siberia. Guess what, folks? Today, they are sending me early messages. Kumu, don't worry. We love Ukraine. We pray for Ukraine. We still have your hearts of aloha. But if we communicate with you, our phones get taken, and if there's any expression of disagreement with the power, we get imprisoned for 15 years. Please trust that we're holding what you taught us. That has helped me a lot. Aloha, then the chant is akahai. So A-L-O-H-A. A for akahai. Kindness, to be expressed with tenderness. Lokahi, to be expressed with harmony. Olu olu, agreeable, to be expressed with pleasantness. Ha'a ha'a, humility, to be expressed with modesty. Ahonui, patience, to be expressed with perseverance. So then aloha, my people, is far more than a salutation. It's an expression of one's deepest self. It's the science of giving and receiving. That's another thing Nana taught me. I don't know about you, but I was raised that giving is a blessing and receiving not so much. So I was a giver. Give, 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 give. That's imbalance. Because, Nana taught me, when you prevent someone from giving you something, you're messing up with their flow. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Do you know how blessed you are to be in this environment? You know, this right here is a Hawaiian spirit, Hawaiian spiritual being. When he was in Hawaii, he was our anointed Hawaiian Southern boy. Hated losing him, but we did it because guess what? We Velcroed ourselves to him, and wherever he goes, we're going to go. Trust what he's doing here, folks. The best is yet to come. Aloha is an overwhelming principle. It has many meanings, but it's not just hello and goodbye. In the presence of divine breath, don't forget. It's love, folks. It's love. I love you is aloha vau ia oe. Aloha vau ia oe. Now let me tell you about our queen. Ululani, may I have Queen Lili'u'o? Hawaii was a monarchy. We had 7 monarchs before the overthrow. I don't want to tell you the history because some of you are going to Hawaii with Bishop and you'll go to the only palace on American soil, Iolani Palace. Shonda went. She's one of my mentors. She has visited me in my living room. She talks to me. One time I was in a healing film, and they wanted the film to end with a song that she wrote, Ku'upua o Pa'oa Kalani. It's a heart song of mine. And the producers wanted me to do it with a music group of men. And I said, well, when I'm dancing a song written by the Queen, I would like to dress queenly, and I would like to have one of our Juilliard School trained women sing. And he said, look, it's my film. So I went home and I didn't feel real good about it. I thought, oh, I'm so sorry. I want to have the dignity and the elevation of the song. And she came to me. She said, it doesn't matter, Mohala Pua, because I know why you dance it. I rather you dance it than not. Humility. Yeah. So anyway, some ambitious people decided to cause her to be deposed. And they arrested her, which was later adjusted to only. They kind of wanted her to go into hard labor in prison. Our queen, she did nothing wrong except be the queen of a land that hungry usurpers and exploiters wanted to have as their land for their purpose. She was imprisoned for 8 years in one tiny room. Her windows were covered so she couldn't see out her people. She quilted. She prayed. Did she get angry? Aole. She prayed. Now, her people, she only had the one lady in waiting, and she had a canary, and that's all. She had no life outside of that room. But someone had a little boy that was so cute that the guards couldn't say no to him if he took her flowers. And what did the flowers get wrapped in? The newspaper, and then other paper. And so she could read what was happening. And she learned that her loyal followers were imprisoned, and if they were to fight, they'd be slaughtered. So she wrote this prayer. I would like to have it played, and then I will tell you what it meant. Please. Who is singing it? My Nana's daughter. My Nana Veery's daughter, Emma, who went to the Juilliard School of Music. We have many, many songs. Our whole life is expressed in music, in dance, in prayer, in chants. I don't know, and I've traveled the world, I don't know of any other place that has as many songs written and constantly been written about the love, in praise of God, in praise of nature, as Hawaii. I have a cousin, Patrick Ka'anoi, who has written a book called The Need for Hawaii. But I won't say it, thank you so much. I won't say it because it isn't meant to be arrogant. It's meant to say, we're here, everyone. We're here, my brothers and my sisters. We're here to connect. We're here to love. We know that we are one. You know, I have so much more that I could share because I'm old. Do you have any idea how much stuff I know? There's a wonderful poem, you know, that says, I'm not old. I'm just waiting to be found. It ends with, ask me anything. But I'd like to ask to have the podium removed again, because I want to share with you a song that I love that takes us back to June and Bartholomew, and that is Imagination. And then, in our last 5 minutes, I want to invite all of you to stand if you're able or choose to. And after I finish singing the Hawaiian words to a song that my heart song, How Great Thou Art. When it goes into English, I would love to have you stand and follow my motions so you can say that you partially learned a hula. Is that okay? Thank you so much. You have no idea how much I love being here. Ah, I do. Thank you.
There's no country it isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, brotherhood or man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
I'm going to do How Great Thou Art.
You want him to stand?
Yes. If you would please stand, and then Hau'oli Keaka, my just precious Hanai being, anointed, wonderful, wonderful servant of God, is going to attempt at my request. You know something? I have asked a lot of him. He has blessed some of my classes with his presence before he got so busy here. I've never asked anything of him that he didn't say yes. I stand amazed.
You tell me when.
Nani kamahao na unoihana kahonua mena hoku Kawila kahekili O ike ana Iko mana Emele Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder I consider the works thy great hands have made. I see your stars, and Lord, I hear the rolling of your thunder. Thy power throughout the universe, Lord, this great universe displayed.
Everybody. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. How great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. How great thou art. How great thou Yay. Let's give it up for Kumu. Bless her. She tried to get a lot out. She did. Thank you. Send your hands to her as we just bless you. And thank you so much for bringing the Aloha spirit here as we're excited to be traveling to Hawaii in just 2 months, right? 2 months to open the Hillside United Spiritual Center of Hawaii. Come on down right quick, Reverend Johanna. And so as we extend our hands and our our breath, the breath of God in us, we say, Kumu, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we thank God for you. Thank her for blessing us today. You know, the hula is there's such an elegance and spirit. And many of us, when we go to Hawaii, I didn't know better, but when I would go, and I thought, you just do moves, but not knowing that at times that could be disrespectful to the Hawaiian culture, because hula is sacred. It's a spiritual, it's a part of their spirituality. It's just not something that they do. And so when we do go, let's go with that consciousness that in our efforts to embrace the culture, that we do it in the utmost respect, right? So thank you for being so open and receptive to step into that moment and express and to open yourself to express Hawaiian spirituality today. So thank you.
I just want to thank you so much for that, because the hula started out as sacred dance. And then with visitors, it bloomed into happy expression that became grass skirts and all of that. But in 1975, Nana Viri, my beloved mentor, asked me to dance at Unity, Hawaii, where I had joined in 1969. And I said, oh, I can't do the hula in church. Why? Because the missionaries had stopped us from dancing or speaking our language for many years. And I was fearful. In addition, I was raised Catholic, and it wasn't okay to dance in church. But this was Unity, like Hillside. And she says, I want you to dance sacred hula one Sunday a month. We'll call it Aloha Sunday, where we share, because music at times says more than words. And I said, I'm not. She said, Mohala Pua. Where does the dance come from? Who do you dance for? And by the way, who does the dancing? Aloha Sunday started 48 years ago. So I want you to know it is an expression of God within. And our King Kalakaua said, it's the heartbeat of Hawaii.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kumu. And so everybody knows Reverend Johanna Kelly. Reverend Johanna is will be the co-leader of Hillside United Spiritual Center of Hawaii.
Thank you, Bishop. Reverend Ryan Souza, my co-pastor, and I, well, he wishes he could be here, so he just sends his love to each one of you at Hillside, his family. And we are excited to come and welcome you to the islands in November. We are going to have a wonderful launch. Believe me, all the things that Kumu has spoken about today, we are going to dive deep into not only Hawaiian spirituality, but New Thought Christianity, and seeing how those two merge with the principles of aloha. So please come out, visit us, whether it's for the launch or some other time. We'd love to have you at Hillside United Spiritual Center, Hawaii.
All right. And if you want information on that trip, who should they see? If you want information on the trip, just see somebody out there at that table. See. Where's Dr. Gamble? Dr. Gamble, raise your hand. We'll get you. We'll get you there. Listen, take a break. Listen, come back at 2:45. 2:45. Don't go far. 2:45 for our next presenter, and we have a special gift, Kumu.
Kumu Brenda. On behalf of the Hillside Board of Directors and your entire Hillside family, we want to say thank you for coming and sharing the Aloha spirit with us and for blessing us with your beautiful spirit.
All right, you have you got like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Run and come back. Run and come back. Well, walk and come back. Beautiful.
So can I take a seat
Yeah,
somewhere?
you can. You want to sit? You want to sit right there? Here, go with Reverend Charlotte. Bring my bows, will you?
This music is making me dance, dance. It's so amazing, yeah, yeah. With my hands in the air, air, air. Samba, safumise, samba, safumise, samba,
I gotta bring my own music. All right, friends, if you can start making your way back in. Come on back in, come on back in, come on back in. Out in the hallway, Pool Road lobby. Come on in. King Chapel, come on in. Ubuntu Center, come on in, come on in. Come on in, come on in. Those are the pedals from the lay. Miss Linda, if you can invite them. Reverend, have them to come on in, please. Reverend Cedric. Reverend La. Is the mic on in the hall? Yeah, can you check to see? If not, yell and say, come on in. Do it, Winslow. Use your Hyatt voice. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on in, come on. Okay, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started. Let me turn this on. We'll finish it. Oh, you got more time because our next session is until 5:30.
Greetings, everyone. Are we having fun? Yes, learning a lot? All right. So before we get to our next speaker, I wanted to make sure that you're all familiar with the Ubuntu vendors and wellness. And if you haven't gone down the hall to see the vendors to your left and the wellness practitioners to your right, I would invite you to go down and do that. Marvelous individuals, fantastic gifts and artwork that's displayed by the vendors. And there's several healing modalities from sound, Reiki, tapping, massage, and body realignment, and some others. So please make sure to have a visit down to the Ubuntu Village, which is just between the main area here and the King Chapel. I'm excited because I get to introduce Sister Liza. I've been practicing on it too, Swiderski, and she's going to be our facilitator talking about attracting healthy relationships. And she has a long list of credits to her honor. She's a lifelong spiritual seeker, a metaphysician, a writer, workshop facilitator, and a mother. As a medical doctor, she's a gynecologist, and she's a clinical instructor at Harvard Medical School. She provides consultation services, and her philosophy and her passion is that she cares for the whole woman, mind, body, and spirit, a holistic approach. She also inspired individual behavioral changes to optimize health. Behavioral changes to get to optimal health. She's the founder and CEO of Health Vows, where she's created and facilitated a Health Vows program which empowers women to honor 7 health vows, promoting vital, conscious living. So her approach, again, is extremely holistic. Dr. Liza believes in true transformation, self-care, change, and decisions to live healthy begin where? In the mind. So without further ado, Dr. Liza, please come to the stage. Thank you. Let's do this first. That's right. So we extend our welcome to you with our love as we say, Dr. Liza, we love you. We appreciate you. Bless you. We appreciate you. And we thank God for you. Thank you.
Well, I'm so grateful to be here. Hillside. I want to give thanks to Bishop Jack Bomar for the privilege of sharing in the celebration of oneness and love. I want to give thanks to you, Hillside, for showing up today and for all of those of you on live stream. I want to thank Syra and Linda and Paula and all of the volunteers, Emmanuel, for your behind-the-scenes support that is truly the magic. I just feel the energy of love in this space, just wrapped within the heartbeat, and I'm so grateful. So I also want to admit I'm also a practitioner, a licensed practitioner through the Centers for Spiritual Living, as well as a medical doctor, and that is actually the diploma that is in my meditation room that I see every day, and what I'm so proud of. And I'm just grateful to share this space to talk about relationships, because this is how we evolve and grow and transform in this life, in this divine life. Before we get started in the theme of Ubuntu, I want to ask each one to come close to another and put your hand on your heart. Just choose another person. Let's move around a little bit. I think that break was short. And put your hand on your heart, look into each other's eyes, and say, I am because we are.
Because we are.
I am
I am
because you are.
because you are.
One more time. I am because we are. I am because you are. We are one. Let's say it. We are one.
Yes.
So before we get started, I want to teach you a little chant. This chant came to me when I was attending a large spiritual conference called SOAR with Centers for Spiritual Living, and I attended a workshop that was Write the Song of Your Heart. And at the time, I was going through some discomfort from a relationship that I had spent many years in for other people. And so this chant came from my heart, and I think it's relevant to all of us here as we learn to relate and to attract healthy relationships. If we can put that first slide up. The next, please. Okay, we'll keep moving. If you can find it, it's Praying Hands with a Song. And also, before we get started, I also have a practice of invoking, so I want each of you to close your eyes. As you're attending this workshop, You're here because you're interested in relationships, and perhaps there's a relationship that you want to improve upon. Maybe it's one that you want to show up better than you ever have before. It could be, I think of 4 types of relationships. There's familial, so maybe you're a parent, or maybe a relationship with a child. There's romantic partnership. Then there's relationships with coworkers, and then there's friends and acquaintances. So I want each one here to close your eyes and set an intention. As I say, an invocation of something you would like to see, an insight about a relationship in your life. In spirit, feeling the grace, the love, the light in this space. Feeling God in this space. In the consciousness of oneness, we are one. I'm so grateful for knowing that the insights, the revealing and the healing, the truth behind attracting just the right individuals, the right circumstances and situations is revealed today. I'm grateful for knowing that this time together heightens our spiritual power, our power to choose, and honors the intuitive voice. I'm knowing that the inner voice rings today for each one here. And I give thanks for this time and for feeling the presence of life. And so it is. Next slide, please. You can go ahead and keep going. So this is a song called I Am Known. And, you know, I feel like after Ricky's concert last night, you need to hear some more singing. So I sing, but I'm not a singer. But I did write this chant that came through after that relationship. And this is what my heart had to say. And it goes like this. I see you, and in my heart you see me. Okay, your turn. I see you, and in my heart you see me. I hear you, and in my heart you hear me. I hear you, and in my heart you hear me. I know you, you got it. In my heart you know me. And I am seen, and I am heard, and I am known, and I am loved, and you are seen, and you are heard, and you are known, and you are loved. So before we move into the seminar, the grid of it, think of a person now who has brought so much life and love to your life. Grace, revealing, healing. And close your eyes and think of that person. If we can start the music, we can sing together. Once you found that person, you can open your eyes and we can sing the song together, honoring that relationship. Let's start in the affirmative today. We can put that slide back up as well with the words and then the music. So find your person. No. It's I am known. So if you got your person, you can keep your eyes closed. I see you in my heart, you see me. I hear you in my heart, you hear me. I know you in my heart, you know me. And I see. Wait a second. And I am seen, I am heard, I am known, I am loved, and you are seen, you are heard, you are known, you are loved. Okay. Just think of that person, and I invite you just to send honor and love. Open your eyes when you're ready. You can start now. So I stand before you as a testament of what God can do. I became what I became, and I'm still becoming because of God's guidance. First, on the inside, that directed my steps on the outside, just as Kumi, you spoke about so beautifully. And I have this beautiful relationship with the inner Liza, the little Liza. And so I feel like, it's really one mind, and I can see why we're together, because she spoke to me last night and said, tell our story about how we first learned, how we first knew God. And so I had no choice, because my initial relationships, our first initial relationships, are actually with our parents. And it was through my relationship with Lois and Leonard, my father transitioned 2 years ago, that my first lessons about love and betrayal showed up. It was through them. First, it was their love. So seeing a very tall Jewish man, 6'4", married to a dark-skinned black woman in Indiana with 5 black-identified biracial children, you can imagine the hate that I experienced. And little Liza, she was resilient. She could see the light more than the dark. But what I learned is that I was a highly sensitive person. Do we have any other highly sensitive persons? I think many of us are. Absolutely. But it took me some time to truly understand what I was experiencing. So when I saw hateful energy or look on someone's face, I felt it in my body. And like we just learned about things that brought me joy, my siblings joy, sweets, candy, climbing trees, being in nature, and I was fascinated with the sun. But my parents, this is a triumph story, not a sad story. They had their challenges. We had a lot of insecurity, housing insecurity, food insecurity. And my dad's struggle with being in this life plane often showed up in his heavy hand, which then would keep me up at night. So I first learned about body betrayal at the age of 5. And what is betrayal besides the kiss of transformation, which I now truly believe? It's unintentionally revealing of something, being evidence of. Betraying is exposing danger by treacherously giving information. So think about dis-ease, how it shows up in the body. That C word, cancer. That word treacherous, we can understand how betrayal shows up in the body. But I first experienced God because my body betrayal showed up and I would lose control in my sleep. I was among, those bedwetters, and it bothered me. And I was a child that had a deep sense of something higher by the age of 5. I was writing letters to God, which I now call prayer. And now as a practitioner, I write affirmative prayers. So one night after a really tough night at home, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was 7 to 8 years old. And there was this energy in my room, this presence. And the presence not only felt like it was right there with me, but I couldn't find it. I went looking for it, and I was afraid of the dark. I looked under my bed. I went into the closets. I went down the hallways, and my entire family was sleeping, and there was a vibration, sound to the presence. Looking back, that was the presence of God. That's how I first experienced God. And there was a message, which we call promptings or insights, that my life was going to be bigger than anything I had experienced, and that I would have power in my life. And I have the term for manifest, to create what I wanted. And I have an older half-sister who reminded me last year. She said, you used to walk around declaring things of what your life was going to be like and what you were going to do and that sort of thing. And so that is how I first experienced God, Spirit. And I kept writing those letters to God. And then in terms of relationship, I had some beautiful years after, 7 years of peace in my body until I hit medical school. And I call it the energy of sickness reappeared. And I realized by that time that energy took up space just like a person. That energy is real. When we talk about energy not being created or destroyed, what I realize is that energy is present just as the person sitting next to you, and that energy was attached to experiences and what people said. So first it may show up before you gain mastery around what a person has told you about yourself as a child. And then it also has energy attached to what you think about yourself. And then what society tells us about ourselves. That's what race-conscious thought is. And we're going to tie this all in together because I have prepared a series of just data and science to bring this all together, to bring the spiritual with the science. As we know, the biggest example around how energy affects us is what we've experienced as Black and brown bodies in this country, and it shows up in our healthcare. So when I got to medical school, inflammation showed up in my body. And by the time I was a resident, the way it showed up is I'd lose function to eat food, and it was just, they were fine. When the diagnosis was given, I am now a survivor and thriver of Crohn's disease. And that inflammation showed up, and it brought me to my knees. It was the first and last time, almost 22 years ago, that I was hospitalized for a week. And during that hospitalization, what happened was I was having just a pity party around why. Instead of asking what, I was asking why. And when I got discharged, I was waking up in the middle of the night with a message to go to Jubilee Church. It's a church in Dorchester in Boston, and when I showed up there, the bishop was talking about sickness and healing. And that I cried because I got some confirmation that I was asking the wrong questions. Not necessarily why is this happening to me, but what is mine to do? What energy do I want in my space? What foods should I eat? How should I shape my career? And so those were the things that propelled me into healing myself and healing my body as a medical doctor. And for over 22 years, I haven't had to take medications, any of these treatments, and just had a real healing by following inner guidance. So what I want to talk about is relationships, because this is how I have found that those energy shifts can actually affect the body and cause dis-ease. And so when we talk about relationships and why are they important, I always think of Matthew 18, verse 19, that says, if two of you agree on earth about anything they ask for, it will be done for them. And I also think about relationships and what it actually means. And the definition is the way in which two or more are connected. The state of being connected by marriage, or the way two or more people behave toward each other. And relating, make or show a connection with, connect, associate, length, empathy. These are all things that help us to relate. So I think the slides may be a little more difficult to read, so I'm going to just go ahead with the presentation and talk about just some information scientifically that is very important for you all to know. As we know, the leading cause of death for African Americans has decreased from 1999 to 2015, but high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke are still affecting African Americans way more than any other group of people, including and particularly white people. I don't know if we can we pull that slide up? We'll just keep going. And there is, next please. And I don't want anyone, yeah, there we go. Social determinants of health is why this is so. So we think of educational access, economic stability, our neighborhood and environment, our social context, and healthcare access are all affecting our health. So, and next. So if you see the maroon, that is African American and the blue is white. So that is what's happening in this country, and data typically lags 5 years, and this is still the case. Next, please. And what they're finding is there are social factors that are affecting our communities because such as unemployment, we're not being active, having issues with not having access to homes, and then different risky behaviors. Next, please. And what's interesting is another piece of evidence that's just come up is just the Black Women's Health Study in Boston. This hasn't been published data yet, but it is a study that is following 59,000 Black women over a 25-year period to track our health status. And what they recently found after following 48,000 Black women over 22 years who personally experienced interpersonal racism and discrimination when trying to achieve housing, and with interactions with the police had a 26% higher risk of coronary artery disease than women who answered 0 to those 3 questions. And this is over 22 years. And there is a lot of data I could present on this, but these are things I want to just bring to the community because I think sometimes in our new thought space, we have guilt and shame when dis-ease shows up in the body. We feel like that it's something that we did to ourselves. We do the self-beat up and self-blame, and not sending the body love and honoring ourselves just further creates the damage, the despair, and is disempowering instead of asking those what questions. What is mine to do? Where? How? Instead of why. And I wonder how many people in this room have had heartache or heart pain with no diagnosis. I've went through this a couple of years ago with some experiences at work. You can put your hand on your heart if you don't want to raise your hand. So these are things that how do we become immune? If I knew the answer to that question, how to truly master not feeling the energy from life experiences. That is my question. This is why I keep thriving to be a vessel for change. And when we think about our work life, when I started writing these prayers, one of the things I want to do in this seminar is one of the goals that I want for you to do today was to, one, identify an affirming relationship that has been contributed to your healthy living, and then identify another relationship that you would like to see change. Whether it must come from you, because we must be the love first. We must have a vision of what it means to relate positively first. We must be the energy of peace, respect first. If we want friendship, we must be friendly. So when I was experiencing heartache myself, I started writing my letters to God again. That inner child showed up. And I was on a long walk in nature. And my intuitive heart, my spirit said, write prayers. And in the prayers, you will have revealing and healing. And I want us to experience, when we talk about our work life, there's usually a narrative, the limited belief, and then the spiritual truth. Does this feel basic for you all? Because we're gonna try it on for size. I want you to see how this feels in the body, or see if any of you identify with this languaging. When I read some of the limited beliefs I came up with when I think about work life. This is from my own experience and from 21 years of caring for women, and even more than that, volunteering in communities. So see how this feels versus the spiritual truth, the narrative about the work life. My job will be worthwhile when I retire and collect my benefits. I cannot be fulfilled at work. I'm black. I will never be seen. Let us chalk this up to being black in America. That is what someone told me once when I was trying to find a psychologically safe space to discuss work experiences. And that didn't work so well for me. Not expressing my truth, not getting the story out of my body shows up as heartache. And apparently, as of March of 2023, looking at 48,000 other black women, I'm not alone. But where do we talk about this? This is why spiritual community is so important. This is why Hillside is so special. Most people hate their job, so it's normal for me to dislike mine. My job is money and source of supply. I work to live, so the quality of work doesn't matter. This is just a job. I have been at my job too long to make a change or leave. I have seniority on this job, so if I leave, I have to start all over. Do any of these beliefs resonate with any of you? It's practiced as we are. But it is true, we do have bills to pay. So then there is the spiritual truth about attracting fulfilling work. So the last 2 months, I've been writing prayers. I've written 33 affirmative prayers around every type of relationship I can think about. So how does this feel in the body when we say we engage in life through our work? A fulfilling work life is only possible if conceived first in thought and imagined in faith. Work is my service in motion. Control of one's life and job starts from within. You are your own boss. God is my source, not my job. Happiness is my birthright. The divine idea of fulfillment and fulfilling work begins first in consciousness. I work for God, not my job. How does that feel? Right? Do you feel the difference in your body when you hear that we know our words have power? But there was a time when I stopped writing prayers. I stopped writing to God when we really get down about something, when something shows up in our life. Writing the prayer, saying the prayer. So we think of our first relationship. As I talked about, our first relationship is our parents. So those of us in the New Thought community who have feeling shame, blame, or guilt, who feel they can't talk to anybody about dis-ease or discord showing up in the body, I want to talk to you about childhood exposure to chronic stress. Now, there comes a time where I truly believe the narrative we tell ourselves about our parents, if we're really in practice, we have to release that they still have control over our destiny. I believe my parents were divinely ordained. I chose them, and I would not be who I am if I was not Lois and Leonard's daughter. and I am grateful. They taught me about God. They taught me about faith, light, and joy despite any darkness that ever showed up. I still remember even going to church, being in the choir, watching my mom in the church choir and smelling the wooden pews and licking them because I love church so much. And that was a gift they gave me. But there was also chronic stress that I learned. This data came out in 1998. I started medical school in 1998. I got my medical doctorate 25 years ago, and I've never heard of this until a couple years ago, about the relationship between childhood exposure to chronic stress, how it creates psychological change and predisposes us to disease. So there was a long-term study looking at over 13,000 people from 1995 to 1996 called Adverse Childhood Events Experiences Study. There was a 70% response rate to their surveys. Next slide. And actually they excluded most black people. There's only about 656 black people in over 13,000 patients that they actually screened. And what they found, if you can skip to the adverse childhood experiences slide, that there were 3 types of adverse childhood events that directly correlated 4 to 12-fold increase in chronic disease. So this is called an ACE score. And the National Institute of Health has this on their website. They're still giving money to researchers to research the same thing instead of coming up with solutions, which is where we come in. I believe we need to educate ourselves and our spiritual communities and empower ourselves, because there is no one in this lifetime who's going to care more about your body than you do. And there is nobody else in this lifetime who has been given that one unique, beautiful spiritual body that you're in right now, except for you. And you know yourself better than anyone. And just as I told you stories about my own intuitive guidance, we each have that. So these adverse childhood experiences, there are 3 types of abuse that they looked at: physical, emotional, sexual. You get 1 point if you experience any of those things. Neglect, physical or emotional. Household dysfunction, mental illness, seeing your mother treated violently, incarcerated relative, substance abuse, divorce. Now, in the just incarcerated relative, as we know, in the 1960s, what happened to the black family with mass incarceration and the war on drugs? Exponentially number of black children left without a parent. So already we're disadvantaged. And so what they found is you were 4 to 12-fold increased risk of having ischemic heart disease, cancer, chronic lung disease, skeletal fractures, and liver disease. You were also more likely to experience depression, engage in illicit drug use, smoke, alcohol, and other chronic diseases too, such as inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's, colitis. My ACE score, I believe, was 7. So as we know what Ernest Holmes says, I love this, when he says our physical body, our physical being is the body of the unseen man. And psychology has shown that time has shown that the subjective disturbances produce physical reactions in the body, and if the body is to be permanently well, the soul or subjective life must be in poise, the mind peaceful and happy. Does that sound similar to what we were just learning about? I believe that we are one. We are speaking the same language. It's about togetherness, opportunities like this, to look at data. And when you hear these things, I want you all to think of yourselves in a bubble of white light, that you're protected. And say out loud right now, this is not my story. This data is not my destiny. I am my own savior. It is spirit that is breathing and moving me. My life is God ordained. We have the power together And we have to reimagine how to talk about health and spirituality in the same space. And really be conscious, not only about what we eat and drink, but who is at our table. Who are we relating to? So these are just a couple of about work and childhood, but I want to give you a little bit more data because Ricky started us off yesterday. I was a little bit nervous about this seminar because something else came to me at first, and the Spirit said, talk about relationships and how they affect health, because it's something we don't really see discussed out in the open much, about that journey of uncoupling. You know, it's like we champion longevity in marriage, but not transformation and change and growth. And if I still would like to meet my person. And I am a Gen Xer, so I'm kind of focused. One is enough for me. I would have loved to have met my soulmate, but that wasn't my story. I was married for 15 years, and that divorce, that relationship was the biggest journey back to self. My longest journey. It wasn't medical school, all those hours, 120-hour work weeks in residency. It was the journey from head to heart. That is really true. And Mark Nepo, when he says, I did not survive to be untouched. So I think for sure, one thing I know is that the hospital, my colleagues think I'm a bit touched, and they're right. And I'm still reconciling with the fact that I often feel more comfortable in cathedrals and churches and in spiritual community than in my own doctor's office or operating room. Spirit is always with me. I pray over my patients. I pray when I'm doing surgery, but I am now touched because I did not survive to be untouched. So the importance of spiritual community and relationships, why Hillside is a special place and beautiful. There is data on social isolation. It is a major risk factor for poor health. So when we delve into marriage a little bit and talk about marriage, don't feel guilty if you're not married or if you still haven't manifested your soulmate. I heard a very inspirational story last night. You're going to have to share at the end about second loves and second, you know, the journey in the second. And Ricky talked about, you know, three different journeys. But the marriage can be beneficial because you're not so socially isolated. There's someone checking for you. There's someone looking to see if you're going to your doctor's appointments, and someone who has your back if you need help or support in doing a thing. Well, the data on social isolation, and this is an old study but rings true, shows that social isolation is a major risk factor for morbidity. So many of us hear that word and say, what does that mean when you see that thrown around on TV? It means your likelihood of getting a disease, a diagnosis, your likelihood of getting that. It's a risk factor for morbidity and mortality is one's likelihood of transitioning from that disease process. So social isolation has been found to be just as risky as smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, physical inactivity. So we have to keep doing what we're doing. And so when I wrote some prayers about attracting loving partnerships, friendships, and coworkers. So I want to try another experiment. Let's think about, does anyone here, you can put your hand on your heart, sometimes just crave or desire new partnership, whether it be a business partner, romantic partnership, a new friend. I wrote a prayer specifically for that. I used to tell myself in my early 40s, it's hard to make new friends. It's hard to make new girlfriends. We know how we are with our girlfriends. We have criteria. And so when I said that prayer and I became open, I prayed, God, I want to meet my soul tribe. I want to meet new friends. With my mastermind prayer partner, 2 months later, I went to Celebrating Our Soul at Unity Village. And that's when I met the Hillside crew. Isn't that interesting? And I was having heartache during that conference, and it disappeared by the end of those 4 days. And the first person who I met was Bishop Jack. I don't know where he went, but I walked into the lobby, and he was sitting there, and you could just feel his light, and he was smiling. He was happy Bishop Jack. And he ordained for some things for me to do in the first 30 minutes that I ended up canceling my vacation. I did it just for him. And it was a beautiful experience. And then after I met Bishop Jack, I ran into Janadra and Syra and Dietrich in the COVID testing area. And I thought, who are these light beings? And I latched on to them. And so it was just, and now I'm at Hillside meeting more friends and have more number exchanges and more deep conversation. So I came up with these experiences and limiting beliefs that I told myself, or that I would hear my girlfriends talk about, or patients that I've taken care of over the years. So let's try these out and see if these resonate with any of you. So there are full prayers that I've written around this. Vision of love, loving partnership, friends, and coworkers, attracting that. So first I identify the limited belief. This is basic, but I charge each of you to go back to this basic spiritual practice, to identify your limited beliefs, your spiritual truth, and start writing and saying your prayers. It has changed my life in the last 8 weeks, if I've ever gotten out of alignment. So let's try these out. I will never experience true love. I will never meet my one. Now, if this one is a problematic, you can modify these. Okay. It is not possible for me to meet loving friends. I cannot seem to attract loving coworkers. I met my one and they got away. I ruined my chances for experiencing true love. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe you weren't embodying the spiritual principle of divine time and order. There is only one soulmate for me. I had my one and they passed away. True love is not real, it's an illusion. I made mistakes which are keeping me from experiencing love. How do those feel? Do they resonate with any of you here? Now put your hand on your heart. What about the spiritual truth? Love is the essence of each one, and we may experience love as we approach life, embodying the truth of our being. Love knows love, and love attracts love. Love is the trademark of my human soul. Love guides, love is divine, vitalizing life through creation. Love makes all things possible. Love is healing my life. Love is God in action. God is love. How does that feel in the body? And as we know that love, some of the things I've experienced in my life, I had to really do a deep dive in figuring out what is love. I read the Bible. I was reading Science of Mind. I was reading Eckhart Tolle, Mark Neep, any philosopher, Howard Thurman, anybody I can get my hands on. I'm an avid reader, and I came up with these different ways to define love. But I love Ernest Holmes' dictionary in the metaphysical, Ernest Holmes' definition in the metaphysical dictionary, where he says the outpouring of spirit, the givingness of life. In the lesser sense, the affection one has for another. The principle of love is not to be confused with mere sentimentality, although all forms of love are an aspect of it. It's the great transforming power, the motivating power. It's all that is fine and noble. It's a healing force. And as we know, love is this energy that creates. It's infinite, it's wide, it's vast, and it's what we're made of. Right? It honors the vulnerable. It's patient. It's non-judgmental, unconditional. And what I find is we have to put that love towards ourselves, loving our body, right? I want us to close our eyes again. And send love to the body, starting from the top of the head. You have a halo of white and golden light. Let us shower every body part with love as it passes through our temple. What are you grateful for about your brain, your hair? Whisper affirmations of love. As that light crosses your eyes and nose and mouth, speak a language of love. Eyes, thank you for letting me see. I'm so grateful to be breathing and for the Spirit in me breathing me. Let us give thanks for our mouths that can taste and talk and smile. And send that energy of love to your neck. It supports your beautiful head, helps you see any which way. It's a set point for feeling down to your shoulders and your breasts. Just send your chest that loving light. Fill every cell. Grateful for your chest, and focus your love over your heart. Thank it for being the intuitive force in the body. Thank it for knowing, for feeling. And you move down to the center of your being, where you process feeling and energy and food, and just see your entire belly filled with light. And give it thanks all the way down to your feet. Thank your legs and your feet. And when you're ready, just come back and just giving your body all the sweet things, the sounds and words to praise it as it's sacred. And when you open your eyes, I want you to surround your body now with a rose pink love of protection. Just honoring love in this space as we move in to this next segment. When you're ready, just open your eyes. So sometimes we stay in social isolation because we also have limited beliefs about our bodies, right? So we did that exercise first to affirm it. Spiritual, sacred, beautiful. And it can be changed. There's some things you can't change, but there's certainly things that you can modify and improve upon. But it has to start in consciousness. So we talk about writing prayers, affirming, and we must work on our conscious beliefs first. So when we want to honor the unique body as an attractive divine force, we're going to do another exercise with those limited beliefs. And you should be surrounded in that loving light ball right now. So this is not your reality, right? But some of these might resonate with you. I am too out of shape to find love. I am unattractive and therefore cannot find my one. Although some of you might be like, I'm too attractive to find my one. I've met some people recently like that. Just so fine, you just can't stand yourself. Okay. My look is not what people are looking for. My skin color is not sought after or honored. Individuals seeking to partner do not prefer my race or ethnicity. Partnership is easier for beautiful people. My body is flawed. My face is not beautiful enough. I am invisible because of my body type. No one wants a person who looks like me. How do those words feel? And I know there are people in this room right now who've had those thoughts. There's someone. But what about the spiritual truths, the body gratitude, like the practice that we just did? That body speech that is healing. What about if we say the body you occupy is divine and on time? One's body is an outpicturing of a manifested spiritual idea. It is material and can be changed, but it is also spiritual. It is my spiritual temple. My body is unique. It's God ordained and a vessel meant to serve in my spiritual journey on this planet. My body is the physical manifestation of my individualized spiritual power. The flesh does not have a mind of its own, but responds to thought patterns. And we talked about those thought patterns, race-conscious thoughts. The thoughts we tell ourselves is the most important story. And we should agree today that the stories that we've been told from our parents, we talked about healing that inner child. Perhaps that might be your work to do. But using prayer and limited beliefs and spiritual truths, this practice is so powerful and so basic, but are we doing it? Are we doing it? So before we move into the next aspect, I have to give you a little bit of data on marriage and its effect on health. There's a difference between a quality marriage and one where you're experiencing discord in the marriage. So marriage can directly affect physical health, mental health, cognitive development, and actually has been found to be associated with memory loss and dementia. Did you all know that? Yep. So there are individuals here, and like I said, Ricky started it, but we're one mind, so this is like we're one. This is where it's interweaving. But there is a marital quality and health outcomes data, and there's a slide I have that links healthy marriages with individuals live longer. They actually are less likely to have dis-ease, so decreased morbidity, we define that word, decreased mortality rates, less likely to get diabetes, hypertension, chronic disease processes. And a lot of that is because they're not socially isolated, a happy married couple. They have companionship, if that is something you so choose. So this may be interest of you depending on where your consciousness is, but if you're also a therapist or a life coach or a spiritual leader, this is important information to know because we cannot be laser focused when we're doing revealing work. We are vessels in healing, I agree. But if we're laser focused on the issue instead of the whole person, this is where we lose insight. So this is important for all of us to know. What they found is when you have poor marital quality, so individuals who feel unsupported, they don't feel seen, heard, and understood. They feel like they're being criticized or their partner is not verbally affirming. And people get used to that. You know, they love someone, you're with somebody for so long that you get into this habit of going along for the sake of the relationship. The relationship almost becomes another person. But the truth is, if you are in a marriage or cohabitating, so the individuals who may not be married but living together for long periods of time, and you're with a partner who the words have power not speaking to you in such a way that is loving, or you don't feel supported, or you don't feel you have support, there have been links to depression and anxiety, increased risk of heart disease and diabetes, increased risk of inflammatory processes. They've directly looked at, for instance, rheumatoid arthritis and marital quality and found that women who are with partners that there was less harmony in the relationship and support had increased flares in their arthritis, more severe rheumatoid arthritis, and more disability. There's been association with marital quality and telomere length, which is a sign of aging, and we talked about lifespan. There's also been associations with marital stress, with increased risk of dementia and memory loss. And this is really important because there's 16 million Americans living in the United States right now with cognitive decline. And as we know, this is a concern for all of us. It takes away our independence. Memory loss, dementia. And what we have found why marital stress is one of the most frequently encountered and most disturbing forms of stress for most adults who are married. High conflict marriage has been found to be what they consider a harmful exposure. It decreases resilience, and this is a chemical. As we talked about energy shows up in the chemicals in our body, catecholamines, cortisol, hormones released by the adrenal glands. It puts you in a fight or flight response all the time just by sometimes hearing one word or one phrase. And as resilient as one can be in spiritual practice, we are all highly sensitive persons, spiritual beings in this body, and we feel the energy connected with those situations and experiences. So being in this fight or flight chronic state of stress affects the brain and can cause cellular damage, impaired memory, and has been heavily associated with depression, anxiety, alcohol use, and smoking. Some of the legalized killers in this country, right? The things they want to ban, but the things that we can just go walk into a store and purchase are really interesting. So it's important for us to empower ourselves to make different choices, right? So there was a national longitudinal study of marital quality and cognitive decline in older men and women, and there were almost 8,000 respondents of 50 years or older, individuals living together or married. And this study looked at 10 years. And what the interesting thing was, men are more likely to stay put, even if they are miserable and not doing well. And what they found that marital quality was associated with men's trajectories more than women. So men in unhappy marriages or non-fulfilling marriages were more likely to experience cognitive decline than women. But we would be here all day if I told you what women experience in unhappy relationships. Okay, so I wrote a prayer once about being stuck, feeling stuck. And this was inspired. I've been there before. But like I said, 21 years of caring for women. I have that privilege of hearing their stories. And if they show up with a fibroid or ovarian cyst or pelvic pain, I don't focus just on that. I get to know who she is and where she's coming from. And if I get one more person showing up blaming everything on menopause, what we discover in menopause, they think a hormone pill, those are my worst reviews. If you Google me right now, and I know exactly who wrote them, she doesn't know anything about menopause. I know that you aren't having insomnia and anxiety and depression because of menopause. It's because you're calorie restricting. You're only eating 1,000 calories a day. So these are the things we as doctors experience, is being in these hospital settings, of running into the lack of conscious change, of that motivation. And we don't talk about God in these spaces in spiritual healing. And sometimes it's a struggle for me to go to work lately. I'm still trying to figure that out, so you can send me prayers. Because when I think about our country and where we're going, we're moving to a value-based care system. So they're very, very creative. Let's figure out how to pay doctors less, which they've been doing all along. Administrations and hospital systems collect. And they're going to start reimbursing in these clinical settings based on patient outcomes. They want to increase competition among physicians. And you can imagine the influencers behind this have MBAs, PhDs, have never touched patients. They don't know what it's like to sit in a community health center. I've dedicated my life to working in health centers. 30 million Americans are served in community health centers, and they grew during the 1960s, and they're an access point. And every provider I've ever met working in health centers, they have a heart. But there's nothing in this value-based care system to look at how to improve care in our health centers. And there's nothing in this value-based care system on to how to look at patient outcomes based on patient buy-in. So they will start reimbursing based on patient outcomes. But there's no clause really in there about, did the patient buy in? When you come in, did you follow the treatment plan? What are you doing in your life to live more healthily? So my worry is, what will our communities look like in 10 years? Particularly our black and brown communities, when we know that black doctors are more likely to serve black patients in marginalized settings, and there's only 5% of us even getting admitted into medical schools. So these spaces are so important because you hear information like this and you can nudge your girlfriend, your sister. There's someone in this room right now ignoring pain. There's someone in this room right now who is having a bodily experience that's trying to tell you something, right? And it's important that we listen and become empowered. So I have more, but I have to stop because I only have 10 minutes left. And the exercise I want us to do now is, you've heard some data. You've heard the science. So now I want you to go within. We're going to take a few minutes. I know it's late. But I want you to close your eyes now, and I want you to think of a relationship in your life. An important relationship that you would like to see a change. What are your limited beliefs? What is your experience that you would like to change? What's the truth about this relationship? What is your prayer ask? Talk to God. What are you asking for? When you've identified your ask, I want us to stand and grab hands, even if you have to reach across the aisle. And we are going to pray together now. Now, this is a personal prayer. You have an ask. And I'm going to time us for 2 minutes. So in Centers for Spiritual Living, we do what's called a chamber of prayer. We typically make a circle. And so this is our chamber of prayer, using the collective consciousness of each one, knowing that there will be insight and truths revealed, guidance and clarity about this relationship ask that you're seeking. We are going to put our collective hearts together, our one mind, and bring our ask to God. It's all about talking to God. So close your eyes and think about your ask. And for the next 2 minutes, we will start our affirmative prayer out loud as one. And we can start. Surely the presence of God is in this space. I'm seeing the visions of you all calling each other, talking about the clarity you've received and guidance, manifesting miracles. I'm so grateful to be here, Hillside. I want to end in that chant. I'd like us to sing it to each other And you all are better singers than me, so I want to hear it. Can we pull that slide back up with the chant and the music? Do you remember the words? See, hear, know, loved. We going a cappella? Okay, ready? We sing to each other. 1, 2, 3. I see you, and in my heart you see me. I hear you, and in my heart you hear me. I know you, and in my heart you know me. I love you, and in my heart you love me. And I am seen, and I am heard, and I am known, and I am loved. And you are seen, you are heard, you are known, you are loved. Thank you, Hillside. You all are so beautiful and healing to this sometimes weary heart.
Let's hear it again for Dr. Liza. What a beautiful, beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
Dr. Liza, on behalf of Hillside and the board, we want to present you with this gift. Thank you so much for sharing your love with us.
Thank you.
Love you, absolutely.
Friends, at 5:30, so take a break, 5:30, be back in here for African spirituality, Ubuntu libation, and ancestral veneration. We have a special ceremony that we'll be doing at that time as well. So that's from 5:30 to 6:15 roughly, okay? You got it? So go forth, make sure you stop by the Ubuntu Center, see the practitioners, come and greet the presenters today, and thank you, thank you, thank you.